Hello, this is Terry Foley. This PowerPoint presentation is for the class Application of Football Data 2 for the Bachelor of Science degree in Coaching Performance in Football. The class is run by the Professor James Baker. This is assignment number 4, student number MOD003953. This particular PowerPoint presentation examines the effects that dynamic stretching can have on the speed and time of a 20-meter sprint. Over the past few years, there's been a movement away from the static stretching and warm-up of the past to a more dynamic stretching, which is stretching with movement within the warm-up. This paper examines the effects that this dynamic stretching has on a 20-meter sprint. We also examine if there is any difference between genders that this stretching routine can have on performance. In order to determine the benefits of the dynamic stretching, we devised a program where a determined group of soccer players, both male and female athletes, were asked to perform a warm-up without dynamic stretching, and then they performed a 20-meter sprint, and their time was recorded by a professional coach. Then they went through a dynamic stretching regime, again supervised by a professional coach. Then they were asked to repeat the 20-meter sprint, and the results were recorded for both sprints. The results were collected for both female and male athletes in 0.2 of a second increments, recorded and placed into an Excel spreadsheet. Table 1 shows us the results of the male athletes. As you can see from the slide, the first sprint, the total time was 77 seconds, 0.96, with a mean time of 3.71. The second set of sprints saw an improvement in the total time of all the athletes to 76 seconds, 0.70, with a mean time of 3.65. That was an difference for the total group of 1.26 seconds, a mean improvement of 0.06. When you subtract the mean from the individual times, then we did the variance, which brought us to a standard deviation of 0.12 for the entire male group. Table 2 shows us the same results for the female group for the sprinting. As you can see from this table, the total time was 132.85 seconds with a mean time of 3.80. The second sprint, total time of 129.73 seconds with a mean time of 3.71. This was a difference of 0.09. That was, and also 3.12 seconds for the entire group. Once we calculated the mean difference and subtracted the mean from the individual scores and then got the variance, the standard deviation for the female group was 0.28. So our results show that the female athletes saw a slight increase in their performance after dynamic stretching. 0.09 as opposed to 0.06 for the males. Thus their standard deviation was slightly greater at 0.28 seconds versus the male at 0.12 seconds. Both groups did see significant difference in their sprint times between the two sprints, and thus the null hypothesis was proven. In conclusion, our research shows that dynamic stretching can increase performance significantly. The reason for this can be attributed to many factors. Stretching increases muscle flexibility, can increase muscle temperature, making the muscles more prepared for dynamic activity. It increases the blood flow to the muscle groups, which helps increase the reaction time of fast twitch muscles. Which would increase the performance, increase the athlete's ability to accelerate and also reach maximum sprint velocity much quicker. So overall, dynamic stretching does see marked improvement and again affirms the null hypothesis. The reason for the difference between the gender, between male and female athletes, is a little less inconclusive. It may be down to the fact that often female athletes are more flexible to begin with, thus see greater increase in their flexibility through dynamic stretching, which may lead to increased performance. But more study is needed in this factor, and there seems to be very little study on this through reference research. I was able to find several journals on dynamic stretching, but there was a lack of information between female and male athletes as it pertains to dynamic stretching, and this is something that needs to be explored in more detail in the future.